Hello, welcome to Diverse Orange, our weekly conversations about diversity and culture right here in Central Florida. My name is Tali Sugizawa, and I'm your host today. And I have the pleasure of having here with me our special guest, Jeffrey Redding. Hey, Jeff.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. Well,
Good, good.
thanks for joining us today. I know you're a very busy man, and but it's just your work here in the city is so impactful, and so I'm sure everyone is wanting to get to know you a little bit more. If we had time, I would read all your awards, but we only have 10 minutes. But it is just such an honor to have you here. Jeffrey, I would like to start asking you about. I think it's in your bio that you grew up here, right here in Orlando, right? You're 100% Floridian.
100%. Yep.
Awesome. And which part of town did you grow up?
I grew up in downtown Orlando, near the downtown Orlando area. Went to Jones High School, so I was in the area of that. So it was called Orange Center, and then
Mhm.
from there, that was from first grade to sixth grade, and then from sixth grade on, I lived in a place called Demetrius Homes, which is not too far from Jones. But so Orange Center Elementary School, so Lee, then Jones High School. So yeah, so born and raised right here.
Right. So, and of course, I said you have so many awards, and I forgot mentioning that you are a Grammy Award winning music educator, right? And
Yes,
a choir conductor.
yes, ma'am.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
And you've been in education for a long time. And I wonder if, um, when you were back in John's high school, did you know that you wanted to be in music?
Oh yes, I've wanted to be in music all my life, but I wanted to be a conductor a little later. But singing, absolutely.
That's amazing. I think it's so awesome when you know right in the beginning of your life what you want to do.
Yeah.
Um, and tell me something. So, I know that Orlando now, Central Florida in general, we are a very diverse city now. I moved here 7 years ago, and I see that diversity is only growing.
Yes.
But how was it when Jeff was only 10, 12, 16 years old? How was Orlando back then as far as diversity?
We definitely had some diversity, but nothing nowhere near what it is now. And so that's beautiful because it shows that Orlando is extremely progressive, and which it absolutely needs to be.
Mhm.
Um, when Disney Mouse, when Disney World was here and the mouse was here, that brought a lot of people, and just the influx of the wonderful diversity and the wonderful people from everywhere has just inspired our city. So I'm so excited to see that Orlando is on the forefront of being progressive
Mhm.
and creating an environment where all are welcome. We still have a ways to go, but my goodness, we're definitely on the right track. So it's a beautiful thing to see.
Absolutely. And Jeff, did you experience here in Orlando growing up, as you mentioned, it was not as diverse as it is here. In your life, did you experience racism as you were growing up, or as an adult man? How was your experience here in town, or even you traveled a lot already, even in other parts of the country? How was that for you as a Black man in the arts, singing, conducting? I don't know what's the statistics on Black men or women being conductors
Mhm.
at your level, but how was that being a Black man in Orlando in music and navigating through all that?
Well, good question. I'm like, do you have enough time? But I will try to go as I give as much as I can. Have I dealt with racism? Yes. Did I deal with racism growing up? Yes. Have I dealt with it as an adult? Absolutely. Have I dealt with it in my profession? Oh, absolutely. In Orlando and in everywhere. Um, how do you how do you maneuver that? First of all, just try to be the best version of yourself. And realize that everyone doesn't have to support you in the world. It's the right people, and with anything, you just ask to be given a chance. Um, someone asked me, well, since you won the Grammy, does that make a difference? No. It doesn't. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, but what it does is it gives you a platform to give you more visibility for sometimes to deal with more racism, and unfortunately. But as I tell people, I'm not a victim, I'm a victor, because I have plenty of people who support me, and I realize that my platform is here to inspire other folks. So people, I stand on the shoulders of some greats. Edna Harvard from Jones High School is named, to name a few. Name one. Vernon Smith at FAMU, and Gus Pearson at FAMU, or Andre Thomas at Florida State. I've had Cliff Matson. I can go on and on and on. Where I've had to stand on shoulders of people who have fought the battle and have paved the way for me to walk through. So therefore, have I dealt with it? Yes. Do I still deal with it? Yes. And sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's undercover, sometimes it's whatever. But I have to get tunnel vision and understand that I'm here to serve. So you can't have success without having the other stuff. It's gonna happen. And so but I'm also happy that we're in a city that's progressive in dealing with stuff like that. And so it comes in all shapes and sizes, it comes everywhere. But you have to make a decision on how does it affect you. Does it still bother me sometimes? Yes, it does, because sometimes I can't understand, I can't relate to it. But then you just like, is it my job to relate to it, or is it my job to be the best version I can be to give it away to someone else? So I choose that route. But do I still get bothered sometimes? I'm human, so yeah. But I'm
I
not. But I'm not a victim.
yeah,
I am a victor, because it just, anytime I face racism, it motivates me to be better.
yeah.
But it literally has the opposite effect.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Um, I had people ask me before if I feel like I'm being tokenized in places that I am at because of my race. And I'm like, well, I could, but I know what I studied. I
Right.
know my worth. So no, if I'm in that room, if I'm sitting at this table, it's because I studied. I deserve to be there. I'm not being
Exactly.
tokenized. So I love what you said that. And I think we are, as a Black man, as a woman of color, we are now paving the way for the other generation to be standing on our shoulders as
That's
well,
right.
and be able to see further and do more,
Mhm.
and have a better foundation that the other generations had. So I think that's amazing. Did you learn that from your mom, to from your parents?
Oh yeah, my mother was my hero and is my hero. She was that, and but then on top of that, my mother set that foundation, and the women that were around my mom, my mother's friends, Ludi, and it's people who are all mothers. So I was raised by a bunch of women who nurtured that. But then when I got to high school, all of a sudden I had Edna Sampson Hargett from Jones High School that says, "Hey, you will be." We did Handel's Messiah at Jones High School. And the interesting thing about that, when you say how does it feel as a Black man, because I'm Black, a Black conductor, oftentimes it is expected I know how to do gospels and spiritual. Okay, but let me do Bach and Beethoven, because that's what I can do also. So
Right, right.
therefore, my thing is, and that's going through this. Where I tell people, you know, people see my people see me as a Black educator, and I don't. I
Hmm.
see myself as I see myself as an educator who happens to be Black.
Right.
I know who I am. And my
Hmm.
brain dictates I'm proud of my heritage.
Yes.
And the best job I can do for my heritage is by doing all things and try to do all things well. Why? Because that's going to inspire someone else to not see color, but
Yeah.
see your work.
Yeah.
And so I owe that to my mom. I owe that to Miss Hargan. I owe that to Vernon Smith, Gus Pearson, Andre Thomas. All of those wonderful conductors who I stand on their shoulders. Anton Armstrong, and I can go on and on and on and on. You know, I taught at West Orange High School. The many principals there, Gary Pricer, Mike Armbruster, these wonderful, wonderful people who believed in me and created an environment at James Larson, I can go on and on, who created an environment for me at my high school when I taught to say, Jeffrey, you believe in unity, let's create this environment. And they were not Black.
Yeah.
And that's what the thing about it also. They were all black. So there
Mm.
are people in the world that literally, will support you and believe in your vision. That's why I say don't worry about everyone, because everybody's not going to believe in you and everybody's not going to like you. It's really okay. You don't like everybody. So therefore, at the end of the day, be the best version that you can and try to do it for the right reasons.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. But yeah, I think it is important for younger generations, and I mean children in general, to be able to see someone as successful as you who looks like them. I remember the first time that maybe 4 years ago, I was at Disney and I saw for the first time an Asian ballerina. She was dancing with the parade, and
Wow.
it just struck me. I'm like, because I've been going to Disney for a long time since I moved here, and when I was a kid as well. And I had never seen, well, other than Mulan, of course, but I
Right.
had never seen an Asian ballerina who looks like me in the parade, like on the car and just looking. And I was like, oh my gosh, as a kid, I had never seen that. So I thought it was impossible for someone who looked like me to be working at a Disney theme park, being a
Yeah.
star, whatever.
That's
But yeah, yeah, so I think that's why it's so important for us to recognize that as well, like our worth, what we studied for, but also who we are in our culture.
right. And what makes so beautiful about Disney, since you brought Disney up and I just thought about it, is that, during the season, I do Disney Candlelight Processional with other conductors. And what's so beautiful that I found about Disney is that they are progressive and,
Mhm.
and are conscientious about bringing everyone in. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
that's beautiful, because I've sat back and I watched it, because I've been a Disney fan since I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? And so being able to go to Disney and seeing people who look like me, who look like you, who look
yeah,
like, and they're all around all the parks.
yeah,
Hello, how can you be the best example of progressiveness? By being progressive.
yeah.
And so that's one thing that Disney do, and they do really well from my standpoint. When I go and I see people of all races, of all backgrounds, and so I echo that. I'm glad you saw that, because I see it awful, I see it awful lot there at Disney.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
we could be talking here for a very long time about all this, but I want to jump into another question. So we talked about, the past and your upbringing and all of that, and now, but what do you think we could be doing better as a city, as a community, to bring people closer together, to break down those barriers of fear and division in our community? I know we're very progressive already, but what's your vision for an ideal future for our city when it comes to people feeling home, included, or yeah, included, and that feeling of belonging, kind of no matter where they come from?
A couple things. One, I think that we need to become, in Orlando, we need to become more of a progressive society as opposed to a reactive society. Let's not wait till something happens before we jump on it. We know it's coming. Let's jump on it. Let's not find a million different reasons to not do it. Then when something tragically happens, we all of a sudden find the money to do it. How about let's just be progressive now and get it done? The one thing. Number two, I would remove all politics.
Mm,
All. And what do I mean by that? It doesn't matter what side of the aisle that you're on. Humanity is humanity, and it should be the number one thing. Everything else remove,
yeah,
because when you have empathy and you deal with humanity, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. You get it done because it's the right thing to do, not for no other reason, because it's right. And if we do those things, everything else will line up. Everything else lines up after that. We have to always remember that if you keep humanity first, and you become progressive. I mean, instead of reactive to a situation, become proactive. I'm sorry, not progressive, proactive instead of
mhm,
reactive. A lot of things we
yeah,
would we wouldn't go through, or
yeah,
it wouldn't be as lesson, because we become proactive. And,
yeah,
not reactive. Humanity, proactive, remove politics. Don't I if you do this for me, I do this for you. How about I do it because it's the right thing to do? and
Right.
be done with it, and literally do it without expectations of getting something back. Do it because it's literally the right thing to do, and watch what would happen.
Amazing.
I
I
mean,
love
that's, but I'm not a politician.
that.
That's just what I think.
I'll be voting for you, Jeff. And at Fusion Fest, this is what we're really about celebrating our cultures, but also our slogan, I would say, is all for each other. So of course, it is great to see, the Mexican dance or
Yes.
the Japanese singing, but what happens when we bring those two together and they collaborate and they create something new? What happens when we're all for each other? When,
Yes.
of course, it's important who we are, but we also want to learn from others, and we also want to highlight others, and we
Right.
also want to create with people who are totally different from us.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see and I forgot to mention that you are again working with Fusion Fest this year to create something amazing with our
Yes.
diverse and classic choir this year. And I know we're like running super short on time, but I just want to finish our interview, Jeff, saying that thank you so much. Thank you for being part of helping us advance our mission, being part of our team. And I cannot wait to see the choir at the festival in November. If you're watching on Facebook, the event is up already. Mark your calendars, save the date, November 26th and 27th. You do not want to miss what Jeff is creating for Fusion Fest. It's going to be fantastic. Jeff, thank you again so much for being here with us, and I'll see you around. I know you have a lot going on. So, and we will be posting whatever shows you have coming up. Projects we'll be posting on the comments for people to check it out.
Thank
And
you so much.
thank you so much. Have a good one.
Yes, ma'am.